Greetings metalheads, welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today we're talking about a new album that's coming out very shortly. This is the US power thrashers band called Trauma, who are releasing their new album on Massacre Records entitled Awakening, and it's coming out on the 9th of September 2022. Now I have to say this is a fantastic album, and if you've listened to the early albums you'll see how much the band have progressed. Now, Trauma were formed back in 1981 in California. As you may know or may not know, Cliff Burton, longtime bassist with Metallica, was once in this band before joining Metallica. As we all know, Cliff sadly passed away, and what a fantastic bass player. In 1982, the band released their debut demo, which featured Cliff Burton, also in the band, where Don Hiller on vocals, who was the original singer, but sadly Don passed away in 2020, unfortunately. Also in the band was Dennis Schuffer on drums, then we've got Tiger Lady on guitars, and Michael Overturn also on guitars, rhythm guitar. Now in 1984 the band released their first debut album called Scratch and Scream, released on Thrash Records, which is a fantastic album. It's pretty hard to get hold of, so if you manage to get this album or you own it, you'll know just how great the album is and how hard it is to find. Now this album would have a lineup change. On drums would have Chris Gofferston, who's still with the band, long-time drummer. We'd also have Michael Overturn on guitars. We'd have Ross Alexander on guitars, as well with Donny Hiller on vocals, and bass player Lucas Advelusha on bass guitar. Now this album was a fantastic debut album, very much power metal, had some great guitar playing, and to be signed to Thrash Records you had to prove to yourselves that you were a fantastic guitarist. Like most bands on Mike Varney's label back then were guitar shredders. This album contains some guitar shredding, but it's a really good album. Unfortunately, the band broke up, not only to return back in 2015 when the band signed to Pure Steel Records and released a new album, Rapture and Wrath, which is a pretty cool album. This also featured a lineup change. Now, vocalist Donny and drummer Chris were the only two members on this album, so the new lineup for the second album also featured Kurt Fry on guitars, and also on bass guitar we had Marcel Eaton. Now that album was a pretty good album, and it was a bit more advanced from the debut album. It's still power metal, had some great songs, some great riffing, and it was a great comeback album for 2015. Now the band released their third album called As the World Dies. This was released on independently, and it was released in 2018. A little bit more up the ladder for the band. The music was getting there, more heavier, more technical, but it was still power metal. But the lineup for this third album consisted of Steve Rebello on guitars. We also have Greg Christian on bass guitar. Some of you may know Greg from his work with Testament. And we also have Joe Freylube on guitars. This was released in 2018. Sadly, this would be Donny's last album. Like I said, unfortunately he passed away, so this was the last album that Donny did. Great performance by Donny, some great playing, some great tunes, a great fantastic production, a really well thought album. So if you haven't heard this album, please check it out. Now the band have signed to Massacre Records, like I said, they're about to release their new album, Awakening. The lineup for this new album is Brian Allen on vocals. Now, some of you may know Brian from his work with Vicious Rumours, and they also did some work with Malice, but this was only live performances, so I believe. Now, having Brian in the band, this album is really strong. Brian is a fantastic singer, he's done some great albums with Vicious Rumours. Like I said, he's worked with Malice, and he's also done a lot of other bands as well. Now, Brian's other bands also consist of Dark Arena. He's also been involved with Dark Sky Choir, who I happen to see live supporting Queensryche and Firewind in the UK. What a fantastic band. He's also been involved with a band called Lest Empire and Two Headed Beast. So if you haven't heard any of these bands, please check them out. This album would also feature guitarists Steve Rebello, also Joe Frobolob, bass player Greg Christian, who's been with the band since the last album, and long-time drummer Chris Gofferston on drums. So it's a fantastic album. Production's really good, really well put together, solid sounding. Brian's vocals are fantastic. He really does scream really great on here. A little bit like Rob Halford, but his vocals remind me more of Wade Black. Now, if you know who Wade Black is, Wade was also the singer with Annihilator and also Crimson Glory. So if you like Brian Allen's vocals and you like Wade Black's, then you're going to like each other's vocals. Now, the album was mixed and mastered by Juan Ortega. It was a fantastic job. He's done a really solid production. All the instruments shine through. The drums are pounding, the guitars are heavy. You hear the nice bass guitar as well as Brian's fantastic vocals. Now, the album comes with 11 songs. I'm going to tell you what the song titles are. We've got Walk Away, TED Talks, Death of an Angel, Meet, The River Red, Burn. So we've also got Falling Down, Voodoo, End of Everything, Blind, and Death Machine. Now the music's heavy. I really like this because it's a cross between power metal and thrash metal. And it's hard not to compare Brian's vocals with his old band Vicious Rumours. Yeah, it's got the heaviness of Vicious Rumours, but it's also got other elements in there. Bands like Overkill. And also Hellstar as another band that come to mind when I listen to this new album. Now this album also reminds me of Judas Priest album Jugulator. I think it's a fantastic album, nothing wrong with it. It's the sort of heaviness that Judas Priest would have done anyway after that long gap since Painkiller. So yeah, this album by Trauma does have a little hint of Jugulator by Judas Priest, which is a fantastic album. Another band that comes to mind when listening to this album is Metal Church. And another band that springs to mind this album is the band Hex, who were also signed to Shrapnel Records back in the day. Now, this is a fantastic album, it's a really solid album, and if you like your power thrash and the bands I've already mentioned, you're really going to like this album. So there's not one bad song on the album, I think it's a really cool album. I'm going to give this album 4.5 out of 5. So the songs that I really like on the album are Walk Away, Angel of Death of the Angel, Meet, Burn, Falling Down, End of Everything, and also the song Death Machine. They're my favourite personal songs on the album, but like I said, it's a fantastic album. If you like the other albums by Trauma, you're going to like this. If you haven't heard Trauma before and you like the power stuff and the thrash mixed together, this is a great start. So check out the album by Trauma. The album's called Awakening and it's released on Massacre Records on the 9th of September 2022. Thanks for watching the review, guys. Be safe and stay metal.